Hey YouTube, welcome to Horticulture and Homes. Today I'm doing some preserving, and in my neck of the woods we have rhubarb that's ready to harvest, so I'm going to be making some jam today with that. My recipe today is one that I've never tried before, so we're going to try it together. It comes from the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, and it's rhubarb orange jam. Okay, and our ingredients that we need are 5 cups of finely chopped rhubarb, and here's a small stalk of rhubarb that I have already taken the opportunity to chop that. I just chop my rhubarb up into small chunks and process that in my food processor for just a minute or so. So now I have that finely chopped. And you can use any type of rhubarb for this. It can be the red or the green. I need a box of pectin. I need some fresh orange peel. And the recipe tells me to use a vegetable peeler and peel half of an orange, and then cut those slices up into small slivers like you would if you were making marmalade. But what I actually did was I took my microplane and I just zested my orange that way with my microplane. That way I didn't get any of the white pith, and it went much quicker than having to chop it by hand. So if you have a microplane, go ahead and use it. It'll work fine. Then we need fresh squeezed orange juice. I actually used a little bit extra orange juice because my oranges were a little on the dry side, so I had about 3/4 of a cup of orange juice and then finished that off with some water and then the sugar. So let's go over to the stove and put this together. Okay, I'm using a stock pot that's nice and deep because the sugar is going to bubble up and boil up, so I don't want to get burnt and I don't want it boiling over, so I have a nice deep stock pot that I'm using. And I'm going to take my orange juice, my rhubarb, and my orange peel. Got to add my pectin in, get that dissolved. Okay, this is what we've got. And I'm going to bring this to a boil, and I'm going to stir it, make sure that it doesn't stick, and get this to a full rolling boil. Okay, now that I've brought this to a boil, you can see that there's a little bit of a color change, and there's a little bit more liquid in the bottom of my pot. So now let's add the sugar. Just going to stir that sugar in, let it come to a rolling boil again. And it's going to need to boil for at least 1 full minute. Here we go with our jam. Now I have my jars and a kettle of hot water back here. Try and make sure everything's sterilized. Pull my lids and rings off. You just need 1/4 of an inch of headspace, so fill that up just a little more. Now, if this had been red rhubarb, this would be a nice rosy pink color. It would be very, very pretty. Okay, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, so I need to wipe the rim of my jars. I like to use a piece of clean paper toweling that's been dampened. It's pretty sanitary to wipe the rims of my jar. If you're not sure about having the right head spacing, you can always use a tool such as this one. It's 1/4 of an inch. It's right there. You need to be careful, it's quite hot. Boiling sugar that's the kind of burn you want to stay away from, so be very careful. If you don't have asbestos hands like I do, you might want to use a tea towel to hold on to the jar so that you can get the lid and ring on there. I'm going to put these back in the water bath so that they don't cool off. I like to put my lids and rings into my hot water upside down so that they're easy to pull out of there. And I can get them out pretty quick. And I kind of keep the lid and ring together. It saves me a little time. Right, my recipe says that it makes 7 1-cup jars. And I'm not going to have quite enough for that, so I've got 6 over here. I'm just going to turn my canner back on and get that up to a rolling boil, and we'll be right back. Okay, now my canner has a full rolling boil. And we're going to process for 10 minutes. Okay, I've just removed all my jars from the canner. Once my jar is processed for 10 minutes at a full rolling boil, I turn my canner off. I left my jars in the water for at least 5 minutes to let that cool down just a little bit before I remove those into the cool air. And I'm going to leave those here overnight. Okay, this was supposed to make 7 jelly jars, or 1-cup jars, and I was just a little bit shy of making the full 7, so I just processed 6 of them. And the reason that I wanted to try this was because the recipe said it would be good as a filling between cake layers, so that sounded like a good idea to me, and I was going to give that a shot sometime and see how that turned out. And like I said, if I had used a red rhubarb, this would be a nice pink color instead of this green. If you wanted to use food coloring in it, you certainly could. I don't have any desire to do that, but it's an option.